Spread love, man.
The point is, you think the way you do out of habits. It's habit. That's why you are the way you are. You think the way you do out of habit. And habits are thoughts which dig themselves deep into the subconscious. Thoughts that are like seeds, and they burrow themselves deep into the subconscious. And when they are ready to blossom, those negative thoughts which have buried themselves deep into your subconscious will one day blossom into tumors. Here? One day, those thoughts which have buried themselves deep into your subconscious will blossom as tumors or some other kind of disease.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're taking a trip into, well, the hidden depths of our minds. We're talking about the subconscious.
Ooh, getting deep.
We are. And we're going to be diving into some really interesting ideas from it's a sermon by a guy named Bill Donahue.
Okay.
Now, before you think we're about to get all, preachy or anything,
Yes.
just hang with us here.
Yeah.
We're really just pulling out some thought-provoking nuggets about how our minds work no matter what you believe.
Right.
And how those hidden parts of ourselves kind of influence how we experience the world.
Absolutely. And what I find so fascinating about Donahue's take on this is the way he describes the subconscious. He paints this picture of this massive, bustling city operating just below the surface of what we're aware of.
Okay, I like that. It's like this whole other world that's down there humming along.
Exactly. And we're only vaguely aware of it most of the time.
It gets even wilder though, right? Because Donahue claims our subconscious remembers everything.
Everything.
Every single thing, every experience, every word somebody said to you, every fleeting thought, it's all stashed away down there somewhere. He even says it's way more in control than our conscious mind, which honestly kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah. It really makes you question our perception of control, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Like, who's really running the show here?
Right.
And to illustrate this whole thing about the subconscious remembering everything, Donahue uses this really vivid example about smell and how it can trigger these floods of memories.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all had that, right? Where a familiar scent will just transport you back to a specific time and place.
Yeah.
And often with all these emotions that you didn't even realize you had attached to that.
Totally. Like the smell of your grandma's cookies can just instantly take you back to her kitchen when you were 6 years old. It's amazing.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So if a simple smell can unlock these, crazy, vivid memories, then what else is buried down there?
Right.
And how is it shaping our thoughts and our behaviors without us even realizing it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And this is where Donahue, he takes it a step further.
Okay.
He argues that this vast subconscious of ours, it's not just a passive storage unit for memories. It's actively being programmed.
Programmed.
Like a computer. Like imagine a computer constantly absorbing code.
Okay.
That's what he's saying is happening to our subconscious. And this programming, it starts from the moment we're born.
Wow.
Our parents, society, all of our experiences, but especially our negative experiences, they leave a mark on our subconscious, and then they shape our beliefs, our perceptions about ourselves, about the world around us. It's really quite profound.
So are we saying that deep down we're just products of this programming, that free will is just an illusion?
Well, Donahue doesn't necessarily go that far. But he does suggest that a lot of what we perceive as conscious choice is actually driven by these subconscious programs that are running in the background. For example, he argues that, let's say you're someone who constantly feels disliked, or you struggle with self-sabotaging behaviors. He's saying that might not be a conscious choice you're making. It might actually be a reflection of some negative programming that you've internalized over time, maybe from early childhood experiences or societal messages that you've absorbed.
So, how do we even begin to untangle all of that?
Right.
If these subconscious patterns are so ingrained, how much agency do we really have in shaping our own lives?
Well, that is where it gets really interesting, and where I think Donahue's ideas start to offer us a glimmer of hope. He believes that while the subconscious is incredibly powerful,
Right.
it's not entirely set in stone.
Okay.
He suggests that the conscious mind, though it might seem dwarfed by this vastness of the subconscious,
Yeah.
it still holds the key to unlocking and potentially reprogramming these deep-seated patterns.
So how do we even begin to, I don't know, crack the code of our subconscious. Donahue seems to think there's a key to this whole thing, but where do we even start looking?
Well, Donahue, he uses this really fascinating blend of psychology and spirituality in his approach. It's interesting, he actually points to certain biblical passages as metaphors for this kind of inner work.
Okay.
Like, for instance, he mentions Matthew 15.6. And in that passage, Jesus talks about traditions and how they can sometimes obscure, deeper truths.
Right.
And Donahue interprets this as a call to really examine our own ingrained beliefs, to question those traditions, and I'm using that word kind of broadly here, but the traditions that we've inherited, that might be holding us back from really accessing our full potential.
Interesting. So it's not about blindly following dogma, but rather using those teachings as, like, I don't know, almost like a springboard for self-discovery, right?
Yeah.
Like a treasure map leading us to the hidden treasure within ourselves.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really exciting, because Donahue believes that we all have the capacity to tap into this inner wisdom, to uncover those limiting subconscious patterns and rewrite them with more empowering beliefs.
Okay, I'm totally on board with this treasure hunt metaphor. But how do we actually find that key? Does Donahue offer any, like, practical tools or techniques for this kind of deep inner work?
He does. Remember how we talked about the subconscious not distinguishing between what's real and what's imagined?
Yeah.
Donahue believes this is where our power lies.
Okay.
He suggests that by consciously feeding our subconscious with positive affirmations, by vividly visualizing our desired outcomes as if they're already happening,
Right.
we can effectively reprogram those old limiting beliefs.
So we're talking about, like, the power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
But taken to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like really believing it on this deep subconscious level.
Precisely. And there's actually, quite a bit of scientific evidence that supports this idea. Studies have shown that visualization techniques, for example, can actually create new neural pathways in the brain.
Wow.
So you're essentially rewiring your subconscious programming.
It's like using the power of imagination to literally create your desired reality. That's both fascinating and incredibly empowering. But it also makes you wonder about the flip side of that, right?
Right.
If positive thoughts and beliefs can shape our reality in this way,
Yeah.
what about the negative ones?
Right.
We're constantly bombarded with negative messages from the media, from our inner critic. Does that mean we're inadvertently programming ourselves for negative outcomes as well?
That is a crucial question. And Donahue, he doesn't shy away from it.
Okay.
He argues that it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about becoming aware of and challenging the negative self-talk, the limiting beliefs that might be holding us back. He compares the subconscious mind to, like, fertile ground.
Okay.
And whatever seeds we plant in it, whether they're seeds of doubt or seeds of confidence, they will ultimately determine what grows.
So it's like we're both the gardener and the garden.
Yeah.
We have the power to choose which seeds we plant and nurture in this garden of our subconscious.
Yeah.
But how do we become more aware of those seeds in the first place? How do we identify those deep-seated beliefs that might be sabotaging us without us even realizing it?
That's where self-reflection and introspection become absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Donahue really emphasizes the importance of taking the time to really listen to our inner dialogue, to become aware of the stories we're telling ourselves, the beliefs we're holding on to, even the ones that might be buried beneath layers and layers of conditioning.
Right.
He suggests practices like meditation, journaling, even therapy as really valuable tools for this kind of inner exploration.
Yeah, it makes sense. Those practices can help us kind of quiet the noise of the outside world and tune into that inner voice,
Yeah.
Like the whispers of our subconscious. But let's be honest, this kind of deep inner work, it can be challenging, even uncomfortable at times, right?
Absolutely. It takes courage to confront those shadowy corners of ourselves, to challenge beliefs we've held on to for years, maybe our whole lives, even if they're no longer serving us. But Donahue's message, it's ultimately one of hope and empowerment. He believes that we are not defined by our past programming. We have the power to change, to evolve, to create a reality that's more aligned with our truest selves.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And one that I think resonates really deeply with, with our desire as humans to learn and grow. We're not just passive passengers on this journey of life. We're active co-creators.
That's right. It's like we have this incredible power within us, this ability to shape our reality. But it takes conscious effort to tap into it.
Okay, so let's talk about the practical side of all of this.
Okay.
We've established that, yeah, we can reprogram our subconscious.
Right.
But where do we even begin? Like, if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually apply it to my life? What would you say?
Well, Donahue doesn't really offer a one-size-fits-all solution. Right.
And I think that's important because, well, the journey of self-discovery is deeply personal.
Oh, right.
But he does highlight some, let's say, some key principles and practices that can guide us.
Okay.
And we've touched on a few of them already, like affirmations and visualizations.
Yeah.
These are techniques that anyone can start experimenting with, right away.
Can you give us an example? Like, how would someone use affirmations?
Sure, yeah. Let's say, for example, you struggle with low self-esteem.
Okay.
So instead of repeating those negative thoughts to yourself, like, ugh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy.
Which we all do.
We all do, right? But instead of doing that, you could choose an affirmation that resonates with you.
Okay.
Something like, I am worthy of love and respect. And you repeat that to yourself daily,
Right.
and really try to feel the truth of it in your body.
Mm-hmm.
The key is consistency and really truly believing it.
Right.
The more you can embody that positive affirmation,
Yeah.
the more your subconscious will begin to accept it as true. Okay.
And gradually, it'll start shifting those deep-seated patterns.
It's like planting those seeds of confidence that we were talking about before, and then, nurturing them with repetition and belief until they take root and start to flourish.
Exactly. And visualization works in a similar way.
Okay.
By vividly picturing ourselves achieving our goals, really try to experience the emotions associated with that success.
Right.
We're essentially sending these powerful messages to our subconscious. We're kind of priming it to create those outcomes in our lives.
So, like, if someone wants to, say, attract more abundance into their life,
Yeah.
they might visualize themselves living in their dream home, feeling financially secure, surrounded by loved ones.
Exactly.
It's about creating this, like, sensory-rich experience in your mind.
Yeah.
Almost like a movie trailer for the life that you want to create.
Yes. You've got it. And honestly, the more detailed, the more emotionally charged that visualization is, the more impactful it's going to be. But Donahue also emphasizes the importance of aligning our actions with our intentions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to just think positive thoughts.
Right.
We have to act on them.
So the two-pronged approach.
Yes.
Inner work and outer action, working, in harmony.
Yes.
We can't just sit back and wait for our dream life to, magically fall into our laps.
Right.
We have to be proactive in creating it,
Right.
taking those inspired actions that support our goals.
Absolutely. It's about creating this feedback loop between the conscious and the subconscious mind. As we start to align those actions with our intentions, we're sending these powerful signals to the subconscious that, hey, I'm serious about making these changes.
Right.
And that just reinforces the reprogramming process.
This has been, such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
It's clear that Donahue's work offers this really powerful framework for, I think, just understanding the hidden forces that shape our lives.
It really does.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the vastness of the subconscious to these really practical tools for tapping into its potential.
It's been a fascinating exploration. And, if there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this whole deep dive, it's just a sense of empowerment.
Yes.
We are not just puppets of our past programming.
Right.
We really do have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and ultimately our reality.
Beautifully said. So to our listeners, if there's one question to leave you with, it's this. What will you choose to program into your subconscious today? What seeds of possibility will you plant and nurture in the garden of your mind? The journey of self-discovery, it awaits. And it all starts with a single conscious choice.